Assalamu alaikum, fam. Hope you're doing well. So I want to talk to you today about something revolutionary, about what is the role of women today. And here I have some ideas for you that I think you'll agree with. We as mothers, right? I think it's time we put career last. Because we actually need mothers to hand down skills, to hand out, pasta making methods, bread methods, common, parenting skills, women who have time to help mothers learn how to breastfeed. Because we're getting into this weird competition as women in America, I think, where they're racing towards debt and career, pushing off men, encouraging Tinder culture, and the psychosis and loneliness is really getting out of hand. And I think evil benefits by not having observant mothers around. Because if you have women at home who have time on their hands while their little one is, doing their school, she can go to city hall meetings. She can, keep an extra eye out in the neighborhood. And if something goes awry, be there to call the police. She can spend time in a garden growing organic food to give to her community, tending chickens and giving eggs away. We have so much raw potential to be caregivers, right? For example, when I have time, me and my little one will pick up garbage by the ocean. If I was, working 3 jobs, I wouldn't be able to do such a thing, and the cities are failing to clean up the garbage. So imagine, just follow me here, that let's say mothers, on their free time, they go and they pick up garbage. How many pounds of garbage would be picked up off the street if just each mother in each house once a week went and cleaned up garbage, right? But you have to have the energy. And if you're droning about in college and you are at your crappy job, this isn't something that you're going to be able to have the energy for or want to do, because you'll want to zone out and entertain yourself because you've been at your dead-end, boring job. I think a lot of women would be much happier if they could have their periods at home. They didn't have to work while pregnant. Even if they don't have the luxuries, their perceived luxuries of the corporate women, the fact that the amount of negativity you can cut out from your life is more peace of mind, right? Because women love to fight a lot of the times at work, and the only reason when they don't is when you have a very potent HR department, right? But even then, the HR department can't do much. I think a lot of the unhappiness and the shopping addictions and the drinking addictions and the pill popping culture comes from this unnatural way of grinding out at work. And I think if a woman has a good man and he wants to work 3 jobs to provide for you, this is an actual gift from God, because you'll have this sort of nest. Your home is like your nest. You won't have to worry about, table number 7, customer this, doing that. You have your own world, and you have raw time to fulfill your prayers. You're able to achieve all your salah. You can pick up good hobbies, perfect your skills, read whatever you want. You have the ability to be a renegade. Why are we, for example, comparing ourselves to women who don't have the same values, and they don't even believe in the same hereafter? They don't have the same goals. Because now I'm a Muslim, right? And being around corporate liberal atheist feminist women since 2007, I've really started to just sit and meditate and philosophize upon the fact that my agenda, my whole outlook on life has always been, but even more now, very different from theirs. And I look at them and it's like they wake up early, they have to put on all this makeup, put on these high heels, they have to do all this stuff, drive for an hour, sit in an office. They don't seem very happy. And then, they go out with their girlfriends, get drunk, and then they have like all this money they're spending on kind of senseless things. They have to constantly be buying something to get a dopamine of satisfaction. Some of them are very single, and they sit in bars for hours and hours, kind of hoping that some Prince Charming is going to come up to them in the bar and, whisk them away and set up a family with them. And a lot of them have this very negative outlook on children. And a lot of those women, they're useless in the real world. They have a very specific niche job thing that's important. Not every job, but some of their jobs are important. But they can't really be a real mother. They don't have any mother knowledge. They don't have this old school primal knowledge of how do you wash laundry without a washing machine? How do you purify water? How do you make natural soaps? How do you country pilgrim skills? That is the real reality. That's the real reality. I think that the Amish and the classic communities, the people who survive off the grid, who are more connected to reality, not in the metaverse, right? Not in the city electric grid. These women are different and they have a whole different outlook on life. It's something really interesting how the city compressor and the narcissism, the vanity, the pomp, the decadence, the hedonism condensed in this one area, while those in the country provide them with resources, it's a very cushiony yet depraved lifestyle where danger is lurking behind alleys, where everything is rush, rush, go, go, and your highlight is going out to a restaurant that, isn't overpriced and lies about how their ingredients on their menu are organic because there's no laws, that say you have to be honest in your menus and stuff. So many restaurants, I would see, they would say natural or organic, and then when the products come in from the shipping and you see them, they're not, And it's a lot of wordplay, and it's really interesting because women can cook better meals than what they could buy, right? If you have a ranch and you have, your own cattle, you don't have to pay $250 for a steak in the city when you can just harvest that yourself and get the meat yourself. It'll take time, but once you harvest that cow, you have meat for the whole year, right? I just really started examining and really reflecting upon country living versus city living, and how mothers, if we start going back again, right? Instead of saying, put my kid in a daycare, my husband is gone, I'm here, this sort of really intense splitting that so many people are talking about, I think that if we came back to the codes that were laid by the women who came before us, our sanity would be better. I have to say, I think these lockdowns, they switched everything for me in my life, where now when I was disappointed that the new restaurant that we was doing opened up and then they decided to cut people off and, almost went out of business, another one went out of business. At first I was very sad, right? I was like, oh man, but now I'm like, I get to change and do something completely different. And I think more women would actually have better mental health and less depression if they just stopped working for these corporate jobs and stop letting themselves be judged by university chicks and people who have different goals. Because again, what is the goal? If you want to be educated, that can happen in many ways. The books that the teachers use, you can go buy in the college, right? You can email that teacher and ask them, hey, what textbook are you using? And they'll be like, okay. And then the textbooks are freaking on Amazon, right? So I'm saying is that the way to get educated in whatever you want to get educated in the age of tech is out there for half the price. But credentialism is important for certain fields. If you need to be a brain surgeon, you got to go do what you got to do. But not for every single degree do you need this sort of debt behind it. We need plumbers, we need electricians, we need, infrastructure, stuff like that, a trade school. So chasing this sort of money makers is odd to me. And I feel like if more women thought about being a stay-at-home mom and how do you maximize your time as a stay-at-home mom and produce children and de-educate them from the left-wing controlled schools, our society would be better off. I think women, many of us, would be actually happier because instead of having the bitchiness at work, the passive-aggressive attitudes, the constant different personalities you have to go through, and instead you have your beautiful children, you have your break while they're at school, or you homeschool them, right? But you have time to yourself and to do what you want. And you can still be educated and gain skills and learn about so many different things in life while everyone else is doing what they gotta do in your family and while your man is at work. And I feel like it's so important for women to cook real food for their men, to take care of the home, to clean, to have these little cute things they want to do, their sort of nesting personality. I think that the constant rat race is creating a very type of unloving woman, a sort of cold woman who isn't something very natural to the human order. This doesn't mean that so many women have to, turn away from what they want to do with their careers. But I feel like we're getting weaker as a society because all the moms are working. No one's watching the kids. The schools are now the new mom. And the husbands are being neglected. And we're letting the abusive government rearrange our lives. And the people who make marketing and shape our culture, we're letting them lead us astray. And I think so many of us, especially us Muslims, if we decided to take back our motherly positions, we could rearrange society and fix it within 2 generations. Right? If we start putting our kids first, before college, before everyone else, your mother and her child, and okay, take the child to school, pick up the child, cook for the child. Don't let the child eat at school. Start really taking responsibility for your little one. Talk to your kid with these long conversations to have time to go on a hike and talk about life on this earth. Have these really deep, connective conversations. But so many women are tired from work and they're exhausted and they smell exhausted. They kind of they just look like tired, And it's like they don't have the zeal for life anymore. Like the magic of life has been sucked out of them and their inner light is just dulled. There's something there, Now we want to not have just a population of super ignorant people. But you can, like I said, mothers can get educated without going $60,000 in debt, right? For a degree that they will be paying off for 20-something years. We have to start really criticizing and looking at the system. And the answer isn't anymore, the taxpayer paid for my education. No, it's how can I get educated and survive without, the city life, without that. I think if more women decided to cook at home, to actually have chickens, to actually, grow some apple trees, peach trees, orange trees, lemon trees, limes, and we started having food in the community, and we started sharing food, and we started helping one another start little tiny, businesses where it's more localized, that could revolutionize culture. And if more women are checking what the teachers are telling the students to be active in the child's life, more hands-on, instead of constantly getting on our knees and putting our hands in the air to managers and customers, and instead taking off that route and then turning to our children and saying, what do you need from me as a mother? To actually take back the traditional motherly guardianship that is being exchanged for money, right? Because if we're not around to keep an eye on our kids, to see what they're watching, to see what they're doing, it allows so much evil to try to snatch them away, right? There are so many more vices now that are quickly transmitted because of technology that we can't always hide from them because the kids are around, There's billboards. So we have to be more active now than the women in the past who like, hey, we have to watch out for predators. We have to watch out for insects. We have to watch out for, different serpents. The women back then had different things. They had to find, herbs and stuff to fix a kid's tummy ache. We have to do different things now. But if we actually embraced being a wife, being a mother, being a grandma, preparing for old age, not just being hot, sexy chicks who sleep with anything and everyone and have, 17 degrees on the wall and, $80K in debt and a vast shoe collection and, boxes of makeup, then we would fix ourselves if we let go of that progressive, liberal, feminist, atheist, golden calf image. I think we have to start being brave and bold and reject their standard of success. Reject their standards that they try to judge us by. Because you can go to college and still be quite an idiot, Seriously. And we have to start getting back to reality and saying, what is the actual real world? And nations rise and fall, and all over the world there's conflicts. Why do we think that our first world privilege will always exist? And are we doing something bad by not preparing our kids for such a future? It seems interesting to me. I've really been going through this and examining, life in California, life of this liberal philosophy, and what is it all producing, right? Really makes me think. So I really want to start, promoting motherhood, traditional motherhood on my channel, to take it back from the people who hate it. Take it back from the people who enjoy abortion, who fantasize and fetishize and glorify it, and shame mothers for having children, and hurt men, right? To flip it, we have to go around them now. We have to start being active and saying, no, children are a blessing. Children are good. Change the mantra, right? Switch the energy away from them and onto mothers. And if we do that and we ourselves become what we want to see, I feel like we Muslim women could be totally different than the kuffar. And I bet you a lot of the kuffar's children are going to come to us and feel this sort of motherly nature from us. While those women mock us for not having their fashion and all that stuff, not, exposing our bodies for male entertainment and letting, people throw money at us and stuff like that. Instead, we are going to be the ones who talk to their kid about Allah, about what is the purpose when you die. Because children without real mothers look for it, and I can speak from experience, is when you don't have a real wholesome, nurturing mother, you in your soul, unconsciously and consciously, look for it. And I want to be ready for when I'm 60 years old, I'm 55, whatever, 80 years old. I want to have all that Islamic wisdom and, just wisdom in general, that will be a sort of fountain for the little ones to come to and talk to, because I think the way we're going is the women are neglecting that sort of holy duty that God has given them and instead chose, this sort of manufactured, weird, strange, corporate greed, image. And I feel like that will come crashing down, that sort of vapid materialism that's clinging to the empirical reality is going to come crashing down once we get to a certain peak of civilization, especially now that we have such a weak president and such a weak VP, that our culture is going down, down, and down, and down, and down. And the crash is going to be pretty dark, and there's going to be people like us who are going to be scraping up the pieces and protecting the children. And this is a duty that I think we should prepare for. So I hopefully, can do my part, but let me know what you think, I'm open to hear what you think, and, mothers coming back to our sacred duty as real mothers, not part-time mothers, but a real mother. Because if the man can provide for the rent, Why work? You can have your own little thing, but why put your kid aside for your job? Think about it. They're only little and only, have this precious, cute memory pocket for a short time. When they're 30, it's quite different. They've become who they're going to be. They'll always love you, but when they're little, it's a very important, fragile time. And trauma comes at them from so many angles, and if you're not there because you was at work, it's like we got to start really thinking about who are we letting lead us, and how can we change it towards something better, towards the natural order that fits our fitra. What do you think?